Tottenham 3, Brentford 1. Finally feels like something is getting figured out in North London. Welcome in to Top of the Perch. I am your host, as always, Nick Burt. This game, it started out in, honestly, the most Tottenham way possible. I truly wouldn't expect anything less from this team, where we were literally just 28 seconds into the game. Brentford immediately on the attack. Mbembo finds the back of the net and gives Tottenham a 1-0 lead, literally 23 seconds into the game. I mean, at that point, it was nothing much more than laughing there, because, I mean, that is just Tottenham, you know. It hasn't been the best of weeks coming off the loss on Sunday to Woolwich. Wednesday, you barely escape in the Carabao Cup, and then not even a minute into your game on Saturday, you are down 1-0. I mean, that's just classic. That was just classic Tottenham for you in this game. But on the positive side of things, that really was like the only good goal scoring opportunity for Brentford in the first half, because in the 8th minute, a beautiful, just forcing a turnover, it was James Maddison right at the edge of the box, and he goes in on the attack, takes the shot. The goalkeeper deflects it right to Solanke, who's right there to put it in the back of the net for his first goal in the Tottenham shirt, and it levels the game at 1-1 just 8 minutes into this matchup. It was a beautiful finish. It felt like it was a goal Solanke needed. I mean, even though it was kind of just a tap in, felt like he needed that one, just given that you start getting questioned after a few games and you don't put any, shots in the net. But Tottenham, they kept the attack up. I mean, it was just a minute later. Son had a great shot just inside the box. Test the keeper. Keeper, does away with it pretty well. Tottenham back on the attack just moments later in the 11th minute. It was Brennan Johnson with a shot right from the top of the net. Just barely misses the far post. And this game stays level. Tottenham still constantly on the attack. It felt like in the first half, it really did feel like, it felt like the Leicester game where they just dominated the first half and they just didn't have the goals to show for it. This game, a little bit more of the same. 28th minute, another shot from Brennan Johnson, this time more inside the box. This one finds the far post of the net, and it is 2-1 Tottenham as he shushes the Brentford supporters running past them. And, maybe that's aimed a bit at the Tottenham supporters too, given the week that he had leading up to Wednesday. I mean, he very much deserves that goal. 2 goals in 2 games. It feels like he's, finally finding form this season. And we go into halftime with this, 2-1 scoreline. Tottenham very much the dominant team in the half. I think they had 17, 16 shots in the first half total, which just, again, they're not converting them into outstanding opportunities, which still seems to be a big problem for this team. And, you're sitting at 2-1, you're going through the second half. It's like, okay, we're doing good. We're obviously creating shots, but we just aren't killing this game off. And, the more and more that goes along, the more and more Brentford are going to stop sitting back and more going on the attack, looking for an equalizer, knowing that, hey, Tottenham, they can't kill this game off, so we might as well go on the attack. That is basically what, the 55th minute to about the 80th felt like. Vicario, boy, he had an interesting time frame in there. He came out for a shot. He had no reason whatsoever to come out for. He did handle the ball outside of the box. It didn't go to VAR, so I guess, hey, whatever. It should have been a red, but they didn't go to VAR. So I will fully admit it probably should have been a sending off, but we end up here. You made a few good saves in there, but then it was in the 85th minute. Son feeds it to James Madison, who only has the keeper to beat, floats it above the keeper. James Madison, for some reason, took his shirt off, acting like, they just won the final in the last minute. And Tottenham sealed the game, a 3-1 scoreline to end this one off. It was a good performance today. It felt like this was a game Tottenham needed. Obviously, coming off of Wednesday, wasn't the best of feelings, even though they are through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. You still feel a little bit uneasy about that, but got to be positive about it. Tottenham get the 3 points, a desperate 3 points needed after a rough start to the season. It felt like this was what Tottenham needed to do today. And like I said, they kind of dominated the game throughout, and they needed to show that, and I thought they did pretty well. Let's take a look at the stats for today. Brentford has always given Tottenham a test in the Ange Postecoglou era. So the stats, I'm not surprised by at all. Tottenham not controlling the possession today. They did not have the most passes today. Usually that kind of dictates how a game is being played. Brentford, a little bit more control, but Tottenham more dominant. 23 total shots for Tottenham today compared to the 6 for Brentford. All 6 of those were on target for Brentford, though, so that was 5 saves from Vicario today. Big performance from him. Total shots in the box, it was a 19-5 difference. That's just insane. If you look at the expected goals, it was 3.52 for Tottenham, 0.80 for Brentford. Again, like I said, Tottenham did not control the passing today. Was 489 for Brentford, 434 for Tottenham. So kind of even there, but still Brentford have the advantage. 11 fouls for Tottenham today, 3 of those being yellow cards. Only 9 fouls today for Brentford, only 1 of those being yellow cards. And Tottenham dominates the corners game 9-4. So let's take a look at the player ratings for today. We start off top with Heung-min Son. He earns an 8.6. He had 2 assists on the day. He had a good game. There's still moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, he's not what he used to be. And that was very evident today, even with the 2 assists. It was still a good performance. He had some shots usually, he would finish. Solanke, as I said, got his first goal of his Tottenham Hotspur career. He earned 7.6 because beyond that goal, I didn't really see much from him, honestly. So he earned 7.6. Brennan Johnson, a little bit of a similar situation. A little bit. He had some decent shots on target today. He earns a 7.7. But, after those goals, a little bit out there. He's, like I said, he still had his good opportunities. James Madison was my man of the match. 8.9. He looked amazing in the midfield. He looks like the player we saw at the first half of last season before that Chelsea injury. That's the player we need showing up for Tottenham constantly. The question remains, can that constantly happen? Obviously, we can only hope. Rodrigo Bentancur off what I thought was a very, very good performance on Wednesday. It was decent today. It wasn't outstanding, wasn't terrible, but here in 7.7, I felt like he was much better than he has been in previous outings this season. Kulusevski, on the other hand, I would say not as great of, a game as he's had these seasons. Still earns 7.4. still very, I mean, without him, this game definitely changes. So very good performance from him there. This back line, they had a day today. Destiny Udogie, I thought, was one of the best of them. He earns an 8.0. He was just marking his man everywhere today. Great performance from him. Mickey Van de Ven earns a 7.6. He had a few run backs today that stopped goals that could have potentially happened. I mean, there were some moments today where I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again. And he came back and got an interception, made sure Tottenham claimed the 3 points in this one. Christian Romero is 7.8. I thought he had a very good performance on the back line today. And we got to give credit to this back line. You know, what I said the stat was 4 corners for Brentford on the day. 0 goals conceded off of set pieces today. So big congratulations to this team. That shouldn't be something we're celebrating, but given how atrocious it's been recently, it is something we are celebrating. So good job, guys. Pedro Porro, I thought he was the poorest out of the back line this today, but I mean, it was still a very good performance at a 7.4. Vicario, he came up with some crucial saves, especially in the second half. Earns an 8.1, I thought. Very good performance from him. We look at our subs. Bissouma got a 6.3. He got a yellow card in the game. I think he played just less than a half hour, so it wasn't outstanding, but he came in at a part of the game where, you know, his playmaking abilities weren't needed. It was more the defensive performance that was needed. Same with Popsar. He came on with 20 minutes to go. Decent performance, just obviously there wasn't a ton of time in there. And then the triple sub in the 88th minute saw Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, and Mikey Moore making his Tottenham Hotspur debut. I believe it was his debut. Very happy to see that. Hopefully we see a lot more of those 3 this coming up Thursday as the Europa League phase, not group stage, league phase gets underway. It is Karabakh at home. The Azerbaijani side comes to North London for, I believe, the second time, maybe more than that, but I know it's second time for sure, because back in 2015, I think it was, 9 years ago this week, it was Heung-min's son scoring his first goal for Tottenham Hotspur at White Hart Lane against Karabakh in the Europa League. So they returned to North London for the first time in a while. Hopefully we see a decent amount of squad rotation in that game. I mean, shouldn't be the toughest of opponents, but Coventry City shouldn't have been the toughest of opponents. We saw how that turned out. So I'm expecting a similar setup lineup-wise to the game we saw on Wednesday, which honestly probably isn't the worst thing, if we're honest. We'll see. But I think the Europa League has to be taken seriously this year. There have been some years where I feel like it's not taken seriously. Like, you know, going to Zagreb 2-0 up on aggregate with the opposing team's manager in prison and you lose 3-0. Just saying. So, yeah, Europa League starts on Thursday. The European campaign starts on Thursday. So we will be back here Thursday night to recap it all. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Top of the Perch. If you just stumble across this video, click like, click subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. If you like college football, make sure you check out the Merrifield Sportsbook show where we cover all the biggest games in college football each week. Every Friday morning it debuts at 8 a.m. So make sure you go tune into that. And like I said, we'll be back on Thursday for the first Europa League edition of Top of the Perch. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again soon for another Tottenham review here on Top of the Perch.